by the Eureka Springs Cemetery Commission by way of a hand-delivered notarized affidavit dated August the 30th, 2012, and signed by Cemetery Commissioner June Westfall that states the $100,000 in the trust fund came from the estate of Clyde Perkins and cannot be used for normal day-to-day operations or maintenance of the cemetery. The affidavit further states that the Commission is allowed to use the interest generated each month for normal operating expenses. The affidavit further states that Commissioner Westfall personally witnessed the documents, but
original documents.
If you want to change it to original documents,
It says original documents on my copy, sir.
Okay. Witness the documents, but now the original documents regarding the use of the CDs are now missing and now should have a W. Dramatically. Let it be known that this veto does not in any way question the integrity of Commissioner Westfall. And then you notice that veto number 3, let it be known that the last will and testament of Mr. Clyde M. Perkins, which contains a document dated August the 6th, 1975, indicates the article item designated 15th, states the following: I give and bequeath a sum of $25,000 in the cash from my estate to the Eureka Springs Municipal Cemetery. Said sum of money to be used in hard surfacing the streets within said cemetery boundaries, and request the remainder be set up in a trust to be used at the discretion of the Eureka Springs Municipal Cemetery Commission and for providing perpetual care and upkeep of the cemetery. It is apparent that this last will and testament does not indicate nor state that the terms expansion only. The will indicates the executor of the will was to be First National Bank of Bearville Officer Digby West. The First National Bank of Bearville could not find any records or documents regarding this event. It is known that Mr. Clyde M. Perkins passed away in the year 1976, although the exact date is not indicated on his headstone. It is known, number 4, it is known that in 1994 the records of the Bank of Eureka Springs, also known as Cornerstone Bank, indicated the Eureka Springs Cemetery Commission deposited 4 CDs, which consisted of one $20,000 CD and on 12/2/94, 2 $45,000 CDs on 12/11/94, and one $5,000 CD on 12/28/94 for a total of $115,000. It is known that the $5,000 CD was closed on 7/28/95 and deposited into the cemetery checking account. It is also known that the $20,000 CD was redeemed on 5/21/04, with $10,000 being deposited into the Cemetery Commission savings account and the other $10,000 being put back into a CD, which eventually redeposited into the Community First Bank and then later withdrawn and deposited back in the Cornerstone Bank where it remains. It is known that the Eureka Springs Cemetery Commission meeting minutes, I'll get it out in a minute, for the date of April the 13th, 2004, indicate a commission vote was taken to cash in the $10,000 CD and use it for tree cuts only, and there should be a CD after the $10,000. Okay. The financial records for 5/31/04 indicate a deposit into the savings of $9,150 and is earmarked for trees only. Their savings account receipts from the bank indicates that from 6/16/04 to 2/12/12 withdrawals from the commission savings accounts to the operating accounts totaled approximately $16,000. It is records do not define that what the transfers were used for. Mr. Pownall.
I think a lot of the information in here is indicative of a witch hunt and something that has long since passed. The current commission has asked this table numerous times for money. The number 1 in the veto, there is no such thing as the 2012 mid-year fiscal budget review. It was deleted. Powers of the council generally in 1443-502 says the council has control of the funds. If we didn't feel that by passing this resolution originally that it did not warrant giving the cemetery commission money to operate on, then I think that the powers to be that wrote these duties would have put that down with the powers and duties of the mayor generally, and I think it's very unfortunate towards the Cemetery Commission, past and present, that we can't come up with $8,300 that we came up with that is justifiable in assisting keeping city property, which is the second part of the part that the city council has and all the real and personal property belonging to the corporation. I think that it's very appropriate that this table override the mayor's veto.
Any further? Ms. Lindblad.
I agree that I think the city should be putting some money into the cemetery. The money that they have in reserve should be kept in reserve because they are going to have to expand the cemetery because people are not going to stop dying. And I don't see why they shouldn't get some money since everybody else gets money. And it really is an incredible part of the city that people can have their relatives buried here and their friends. And I don't know about everybody else at this table, but I have many friends buried out there. And that it should be part of the city to maintain it. And as Mr. Pownall mentioned before, when he spoke to the Municipal League attorney, he was absolutely stunned that we didn't have a budget line for our cemetery. And it is public property, and I think that we should maintain it. And I think that the CDs should be kept for expansion and for any emergency that they might have. The city can certainly afford $8,000 with looking over the budget, everything else that every other department gets. And this is a city commission, and every other city commission that we have gets money. So I am for an override of this veto and for us to give this money to the Cemetery Commission.
Any further?
Well, I consider the trees out at the cemetery a emergency. And if this information is true, it seems like they have the money to... seems like part of the problem is that the cemetery has not kept really good records of their spending, and maybe that should be addressed somehow. But I don't think we should give them the money if they don't need the money. There are plenty of things that do need the money.
Anybody else? Mr. Gray?
Yeah, I think we were, kind of like Mr. Raphael was talking about, I think when we first started this, I think we were under the assumption of some different issues that were going on with the Cemetery Commission, and it does seem like at that time we were told that the money wasn't available to be used for maintenance, and it appears that it can be used for maintenance. And I think, if this council is, when we went through our budget issues back in January, February, we had the opportunity then to give money to the Cemetery Commission, and we didn't do it. And I think if this commission wants, or this council wants to do that, then there's still the new budget to come up that can always be addressed. And so I'm not convinced that this is it's not a valid veto.
Ms. Ballance, you had your hand up first.
Well, we do know that the Cemetery Commission has some reserve funds, and we do know that, as Ms. Lindblad said, people are going to keep dying. Eventually, they are going to need some more property. And we have tried numerous times to add funds for the cemetery. And in a time when we have $1 million budget for the fire department, $1 million budget for the police department, it seems petty and mercenary to me not to give the cemetery a lousy $8,000 to take care of the property that is several acres. 42 acres? They're asking for $8,000 to take care of their property. And it seems petty and mercenary to me not to give them a tiny bit of our funds, $8,000. That doesn't even add up to like 0.1% of the overall budget. I don't know. I don't have the numbers here, but it seems extremely petty and mercenary, I will say it one more time, not to support the city cemetery in this way. Thank you.
Ms. Lindblad?
Well, first of all, we're assuming that the information we've been given in this veto is right, which I don't know that it is. We were given information that I got right before the meeting, a big long thing here that I found out the mayor put together, but that it was not signed by the mayor. And we have June Westfall, and when the head of the cemetery commission came in, he said that John Cross had a recollection that this is what the money was to be used for. So to me, their word is good enough for me to say that this money should be held. June Westfall is held in high regard. We just put her back on the cemetery commission because she knows a lot of the history of Eureka Springs, and John Cross certainly knows a lot of the history of what's gone on in town, and the money was in his bank. So I think we should go ahead and give the cemetery commission money, and if it's decided by the next council that they don't want to do it, then so be it. But I don't see the big rush to not give the cemetery commission $8,000, especially when we don't know that the departments where the money's been taken out of for their travel funds, which nobody was depleted of all their money, are even going to use this money. This money will probably sit here, and if I'm correct, Lonnie, will roll over into next year. So we might as well give them the money, and it can be readjusted at the budget when we do the budget for next year. But I think that it's important that we go ahead and do this for the citizens of this town.
Pownall?
One last point that I'd like to make, and a comment that Mr. Berry made. This resolution passed by a vote of 6-0 at this table. I find it very questionable that now all of a sudden we're deciding that we want to mention that this table was not really aware that we were going to be giving them money. We voted it, guys, 6-0. We're going to be intimidated by a 3-page, non-certified assertion of facts unknown.
Alleged facts.
Call for the question.
Second.
I think calling for the question actually ends the debate according to Robert's rules. Call for the previous question, I believe, is the correct statement.
I'm glad you became such a Robert's Rule of Order expert.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that comment from you. But nobody's called for the previous question yet.
I call for the previous question.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
That one needs a roll call.
Okay.
Thank
It
you.
only took him almost 2 years.
I'm sorry, what was the comment?
I said it only took you almost 2 years to figure out that one.
Hey, it's a learning process.
I know it is.
Outstanding, thank you.
Mr. Berry?
No.
Mr. Raphael?
No.
Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
Mr. Pownall?
Yes.
Ms. Lindblad?
Yes.
Ms. Ballance?
Yes.
4 yeses, 2 noes.
That overrides the veto.
Whoa, that was calling the
No,
question.
that's
That's just calling the question.
Oh, the vote, okay.
That calls for
Yeah.
a vote.
Okay.
I was so proud of him there for a second.
I'm sorry, what was the
I
comment?
said I was so proud of you there for a second.
Yeah? Like I said, it's a learning process. I'm still trying, at least.
As we all are, so.
Yeah, well, that's good. Okay. We'll do a roll call vote on this or take a voice vote? As a passing resolution,
It should be a roll call based on the council's saying that final actions need to be roll call. This would be a final action.
Please restate the motion.
To override, Mr. Pownall voted to override the veto, and Ms. Lindblad seconded. Mr. DeVito?
No.
Ms. Ballance?
Yes.
Mr. Pownall?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
No.
Ms. Lindblad?
Yes.
Mr. Raphael?
No.
3-3. Motion fails.
Motion fails. So the veto stands?
Veto stands.
Okay, so then we don't have a budget resolution.
Correct.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome, sir. So,
Number 13 is the veto on the council, this council order for Chief Hyatt to appear.
point of information,
Yes, ma'am.
on that last issue,
We can't discuss
We
it.
can't just,
okay, well, I'm not discussing, but just, this is pertinent to my question. The notice of veto that I had was the approved, that was dated received from Ann Armstrong on 10/11, but the one that was read at the table was different from it. So I'd just like to know if this one that says received from Ann Armstrong is the one we're going to read, or if it's another version other than the approved copy.
You have to ask clerk.
Excuse me?
You would have to ask Ms. Clerk, the clerk. Mr. Pownall, you had your hand up?
Just a point so that someone doesn't accuse me of being a spoiled sport. I do have to leave. I have a wife in the hospital, and I have a granddaughter sitting at home waiting for me.
Oh, we weren't aware of that, sir. Thank you. Take care. Okay. Motion to discuss.
I would move to postpone this issue until the next meeting.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Me? I'll draw.
You and... Thank you. 3-2.
Okay. That puts us, Chief Hyatt is here.
We still haven't addressed the veto.
Yes, you haven't. The vote's 3-2, so that,
That's to defer it.
yeah. Takes
And that
two-thirds
failed.
to vote
Right.
to veto it.
No, yes.
That was to defer.
Two-thirds of all of the council members.
No,
That was to defer.
That was just to defer.
Okay.
And it failed, so we're carrying on.
Okay, we're carrying on.
So move to hear the notice of veto.
Okay, I read the last one, you can read this one. It's shorter.
For the,
second.
Made and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Excuse me, please repeat the motion.
To hear notice of veto,
Do you have the veto read in the record?
read it.
Yeah. Did you get all your votes?
No, I did not.
Okay, one more time. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
4-1.
4-1.
Okay. I'll go ahead and read it. Notice of veto, October 11, 2012, City Clerk Ann Armstrong. I hereby veto the City Council order put forth during this regular meeting on Monday, October the 8th, 2012, and instructed Eureka Springs Police Chief Earl Hyatt to appear before them at the next regular October City Council meeting, provide a minimum number of police officers needed to operate on a 12-month basis. According to the ACA 14-43504, 32A and B, case of the veto, before the next regular meeting of the council, the mayor shall file in the office of the clerk to be laid before that meeting a written notice of his or her reasons for doing so doing. An ordinance, an order, a resolution, or part thereof vetoed by the mayor is invalid unless after the written statement is laid before it, the council by 2/3 votes of all aldermen elected thereto pass it over the veto. Reasons for the veto: the city council does not have any administrative authority over a department head. The mayor has authority over all department heads. Number 2, ACA 1442-110, the 2012 version, appointment and removal of department heads states the following. A1, the mayors in the city of the first class and second class incorporated towns shall have the power to appoint and remove all department heads, including city and town marshals, where an ordinance that has been passed making city and town marshals appointed, unless the city 4, town council shall by 2/3 majority of the total membership of the council vote to override the mayor's action. Provided, however, that in the cities of the first class and second class with civil service commissions, the governing body of the city may, by ordinance, delegate the authority to appoint and remove the heads of the police and fire departments to the city's civil service commission. B, city managers in cities having a city manager form of government shall have the power to appoint and remove all department heads. In cities with a city manager form of government and with civil service commissions, the civil service commission shall, thick paper, have the power to override the city manager's appointment and removal of police or fire chief by a majority vote of the total memberships of the commission. The provisions of this section shall not apply to department heads not under the control of the governing body of the city and shall not apply to cities having an administrative form of government. Number 3, page 3 of the City Eureka Springs Personnel Policy Handbook states that pursuant to ACA 1442-110, the mayor shall appoint department heads and remove and approve all hiring of city employees. Number 4, as previously stated, the council has no administrative authority to instruct any department head to do anything without the consent of the mayor. Number 5, the council did not state the reason for the request as no other department personnel numbers were discussed. Number 6, I do not give this city council administrative authority to instruct any department head to do anything. Morris Pate, Mayor. Discussion? Anybody? If not, all in favor say aye.
Just,
Okay.
We don't have a motion. Which is fine.
Yep. Somebody wants to make a motion? In a second.
I make a motion that we move on to item number 14.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
no.
No.
3-2.
3-2 fails.
No.
Whoa.
Mayor has corrected.
Oh, that's true. My apology.
I said veto stands. Yes.
Okay, number 14.
4-2. Thank you.
Sure.
As long as you went to the trouble of it.
So you had to wait, Earl.
I don't see anything in here.
Better
It
watching
says what
Romney and what.
Personnel,
Okay. Number 14, annual tax levy ordinance 2164, third read.
Thank you.
Move to discuss.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Thanks, Chief.
Is a motion to discuss?
Yes.
Was it made and
Yes.
seconded? Okay, floor is open.
Well, I move to suspend the rules and place ordinance 2164 on its third reading by title only.
Second.
We'll have to do a roll call.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Ms. Lindblad?
I'm sorry, could you read the motion again?
To put ordinance 2164
Oh, yes.
on its third reading by title only. Ms. Ballance?
Yes.
Mr. Raphael?
Yes.
Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
5-0. Ordinance 2164, an ordinance levying a tax on all real and personal property in the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Mr. Barry?
Move to approve ordinance 2164 on its third reading.
Second.
Made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Okay. Mr. Barry?
I believe, isn't there a reason we need to do this emergency clause?
Yeah.
Because of the time
Yeah,
lapse?
okay, yes, right.
Correct.
All right, I move to read the emergency clause.
Second.
Made and seconded. We will have to take a roll call on that.
Not to read it, but if he wants to read and approve, he does.
Okay, to read and approve.
Emergency clause, section 4, that due to the immediate need to provide this information to the Carroll County Quorum Court for the November 2012 meeting, in order that the taxes can be collected properly so as to provide for the health, welfare, and safety for the financial well-being of the city of Eureka Springs, City Council finds it in the best interest of the citizens to declare an emergency. Therefore, this ordinance will go into full force and effect immediately upon its passage.
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We got a roll call?
Get a roll call.
Okay, sorry.
Ms. Lindblad?
I have a question. When is the next meeting of the quorum court?
I don't know, but it truly needs to be done. It's early in November, but there's prep work.
All right, yes.
Ms. Ballance?
No.
Mr. Raphael?
Yes.
Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
4-1.
Thank you. Okay, 9:30, that moves us on to new business. Number 1 is 2012 Fixes Assets List. Motion to discuss.
Move to discuss.
Second.
Made and seconded. Floor is open. Ms. Ballance?
Does our finance director have our list of 2012 fixed assets that we requested?
It would appear so.
Excellent.
Just mine. Just mine. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Ballance?
I move to postpone further discussion of this issue until the next meeting.
Second.
Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Like sign. All right, postpone number 2, Eurekan report. Motion to discuss.
So moved.
Is there a second? Made and seconded. Okay, I don't know that I gave you all copies of this, but we'll read off of the special event application. For the first year, let's see, the first year we had 450 entrants. Is that correct? This is the second year, and we had 608 entrants. As far as, let me go back here. The paperwork I'm looking at is a City of Eureka Springs parking lot use permit dated 3/16/12, in which 3 days at 139 spaces was $465. That was the money that was paid for the 139 slots.
What was that number again, please, sir?
For a period of 3 days, 139 spaces were rented and a fee was collected of $465.
$469.
65.
465.
Yes, ma'am. For the city spaces.
And that's for 139 spaces
139 spaces.
for 3 days. Was that $465 per day or $465 for the 3 days?
Total fee collected was $465. I'll let, you want to go ahead and give them any other particulars? You have any? Yeah. Ms. Lindblad.
Math is failing me here. Oops. Okay, one. So that's $151 a day, unless I divided wrong.
It's $3.
Yeah, it's $3 in our code. It's $3 per parking space per day. That's what the council set up years ago. So that's what we are charged. We don't have an option of more or less. It's $3 a day to rent a space. That's why.
And this is for every special event?
Exactly.
And so how much revenue would the city be bringing in otherwise on those parking spaces per day?
We would have a day. Mm-hmm. $8. I mean, it's $1 an hour. You know, they pay meters, and so it's $8.
So it would be $8?
Right, if they were all occupied and stuff like that.
All right, so if regular people were parked there, it would be, in these parking spaces, it would be $8 a day.
And we tried back in 2007 to raise the parking spaces rate to $5 a day, but it failed at the council table.
For special events?
It's just parking. You can rent parking whether it's special event or not. But usually they coincide with each other.
Okay, that's fine on that. Another problem I have with this particular event, and I don't know if this happened for all events, for one thing, it was not a good weekend for most businesses in town because all that parking space was taken up, and, you know, the city seems to be so nervous about parking meters and not giving up any money from parking meters that it seems interesting to me that we're willing to give up parking like that for $3 a day, because parking in this town for customers that come in, especially ones that aren't involved in an event like that, is really hard to find. And it cuts down on where customers that go to the regular businesses, where they can park so that they can go to businesses when they're not participating in a special event. And another problem that I have with that particular event, and it may be with other events, is that the emergency fire lane behind City Hall was blocked off all weekend. And when you want to make a turn up Spring Street, one of the things that you have to do as a citizen living here is you have to come around through these parking lots here so that you can turn and go up Spring Street. So that wasn't available to the citizens, and should we have had a fire emergency here at the courthouse or any place up on First Street or anywhere down in this area, the fire trucks would not have been able to get through the fire lane.
Do you want me to address that?
Go ahead.
Okay. And we do close streets off for events. We've done it on Center Street. And it had a barricade there that we have right in front of the courthouse. It's movable. So if there was a fire, we could move it instantly. It'd be no issue to the fire traffic, or to the fire trucks. And like I said, we've closed other streets off for special events like the Center Street. So.
But that one's particularly interesting because if people want to come up Main Street and go up Spring Street, there's not a way to do it unless you drive all the way up Main and turn around and come back.
Yeah, it's just, it gets to the point in the administration office, you can't pick and choose which event you're going to play favorites for. Because if we do it for one event, we're going to have to do it for another event. It's like if we unless something changes, in the local laws, I mean, when we rent out, if somebody wants to come and rent out a space, we rent out a space. We can't say you can get it, but not you. It's just straight across the board.
Ms. Ballance, you had a question?
I did. When I crunched the numbers real quick, if I understood you correctly, you said there was 139 spaces and they're $3 per day per space, and it was 3 days, and we got a total of $465. Well, my math real quick shows me that 139 spaces at $3 a day would be $417, and times 3 days, that would be $1,251. So we got $465, and it was supposed to be $1,251?
It's probably been for 3 days.
Pardon?
It's separated for 3 days. Yeah.
You look at the special event and it tells you.
Are you sure about there being that many parking spaces there?
That's what I said. It says in the special event how
139.
many parking spaces per lot.
Gee, it would have been nice to have this information before so we could have looked at it before we got to this meeting. I move to postpone the rest. Is there a motion on the table?
No.
No, ma'am. Discussion.
I move to postpone the rest of this discussion until next meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay.
I'd like to have this information before the next meeting.
I would as well.
We'll get it to you. Number 3, ramifications of volunteer tax on cemetery commission. Motion to discuss.
Move to discuss.
Second.
I have a quick question for Lonnie. I believe the city can vote up to 5 mills tax. Is that right? I mean, we have a 4.4 that we passed tonight, and I think 5 mills may be maximum. And I guess the question is, especially after our discussion about the cemetery, and I know other cities, Berryville in particular, they use part of their millage to help fund the cemetery, and that would give them a permanent tax to work off of. Wonder if you might be able to give us approximate what kind of cost, and if we can do that, if we're able to levy up to 6/10 of a mil, I guess, or a half a mil tax toward the cemetery.
I can, you want this? Yeah, I can get that. Yes.
Okay, and by the next meeting?
I don't have it.
No, I understand. And whether we can do it, and how much money that might generate. Okay. If you can do that, then I move to defer.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Did we postpone? Is that
Yes.
Postpone.
That's deferred.
Number-
Until
Next meeting.
Next meeting.
We would have
Thank
been
you.
picked on if we'd used.
Number 4, readjustment vacation water rates. Discussion.
I move to discuss.
Second.
Second.
Floor is open.
I put this on the agenda because I've gotten complaints from citizens about paying water rates for water that they're not using. And I think that it's something that the council should look into, especially deferring, if nothing else, deferring the sewer usage rate since they're not using the sewer at all. And we did defer that for the garden meters because they're not using the water. And I believe that we deferred them being charged a rate when they're not using their garden meters. Did we do that?
Yes.
Okay. So I think if we can do that for the garden meter people, that we can do that for people who are on vacation when they, call the Public Works to come out and shut their water off because they're not going to be there, and a lot of people drain their pipes, etc., that we should go ahead and do this for the citizens, especially since the citizens are probably paying the highest rate for water in the city because the big users get discounts on it. I think that we should do this for our citizens. When they're not using the water and they're not using the sewer, I don't think that they should have to pay for it. And I know that the garden meter people paid a deposit to get their garden meters, but I still think that this would be a good thing for us to do for our citizens, because I think it's unfair to have to pay for water and sewer that you're not using. And they're already going to pay $25 to get their water turned off and $25 to get their water turned back on.
Any further?
So I make a motion that we defer the cost, I don't know how to put it exactly, defer the cost for water and sewer charged when meters are on vacation. Is that the way it should be stated?
No, if you,
Okay.
you're going to have to adopt an ordinance or a resolution at least to do that.
All right.
Resolution if it's a temporary basis, ordinance if it's a permanent law change.
All right, then I guess my motion should be, I make a motion that the city attorney write an ordinance to eliminate the charge on meters which are on vacation.
I would ask, well, you have to go second. I'll stop.
Second.
Made and seconded.
I would ask that you, if you're going to refer that to the city attorney, that you define the term vacation. Does that mean 1 day of turning it off, 1 month, 3 months,
Oh.
a year?
I guess it would be,
She's already kind of said that that she's referring to people who go on vacation, pardon me, and actually have their meters turned off and drain their water. She made reference to the shut-off fee and the reestablishment fee, so I would gather that would be the parameters.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
we're making so many assumptions here. You know, I agree with the city attorney. I mean, if we're going to do this, let's set a 3-month period, if that's what they're going on vacation, rather than assuming they're shutting off the water and draining all the water. We don't know what's going to happen on that. There's also some other issues, too, that are coming up that I'm concerned with. How much is this going to cost the city? And I'd like to see this, a little bit better defined rather than just saying, like you said, vacation, 1 day or 2 days. I think, if we're going to do this, it needs to be a vacation, a real vacation. And I'm not sure that people that can afford the vacation homes, I mean, that's basically what it amounts to, that they couldn't afford that. I don't know what the water charge is. First of all, what is the water charge? Do we know what the water charge is?
bring it. Yeah,
Otherwise, I'd move to defer this till the next meeting, to get
Second.
more information.
okay. We'll defer it.
Motion made. Go ahead.
Oh, we've got a motion on the
Second.
table? Okay.
Was there a motion on the table?
Yes,
Motion made and seconded to defer to the next meeting.
Wait, sir.
There was another.
there was a motion and a second.
There was a previous motion on the table.
I move to defer it until the next meeting.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to defer to the next meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do a roll call on
Okay.
that, because it's an extraordinary measure.
Okay.
Mr. Raphael?
Yes.
Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
Ms. Ballance?
Yes.
Ms. Lindblad?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
5-0.
Okay, thank you. Number 5, a discussion of the December council meeting. Ms. Lindblad.
I move to postpone this till the next meeting since
Second.
Mr. Pownall was one of the people that put this on the agenda and he had to leave.
Motion made and seconded to postpone to the next meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Postponed.
0.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 6 and 7 were moved. Brings us to agenda setting.
Move to discuss.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Raphael, got your hand up.
Yes, I have, next agenda under new business, I'd like to put outdoor sales on there. Discussion of outdoor sales. Discussion of the school road situation. And discussion of Nellie and Clark's case.
Second.
Anybody else? Mr. DeVito?
Might I remind council, we have very few meetings left till the end of the year, so please be judicious in what we put on the agenda.
Ms. Lindblad?
Yes, I'd like to put on the agenda discussion of page 3 in the Eureka Springs Personal Policy Handbook that states that the mayor shall appoint department heads and approve all hiring city employees according to State Statute 1442-110.
Second.
Somebody else? Ms. Ballance.
I'd like to add a discussion of the state statute that calls for city council to decide the number of police officers by ordinance.
Second. What is that statute, Mayor?
I wish I could find it for you.
Anybody else? Nothing else? All in favor of the agenda? Say aye.
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 Any against? Okay. Council comments? Ms. Lindblad.
I don't really have any except to remind everybody that the election's coming up November 6th and that everyone should get out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barron?
None.
Mr. DeVito?
I would like to remind council you can vote tomorrow if you'd like, and please vote for Sherry.
Ms. Ballance?
I echo my colleagues. Get out and vote. This is your turn to participate in your city government and your state government and your national government. So get out there and do your part. Thank you.
Mr. Raphael?
No, thank you.
Okay. Real quick, remember that the last Voices from Eureka Silent City will be coming up this weekend, the 26th and 27th. Have a lot of good comments and a lot of good attendance on this so far. Read a letter that we received from the Arkansas Forestry Commission regarding volunteer firefighters partners. It says they did a great job. The Forestry Commission likes working with them in a professional manner. There'll be a copy of it in my office if you want to read it. There again, the early voting issue has started today. Those that haven't got out to vote, please go do so. October the 26th to the 27th, Voice of Silent City, we've already done that one. October 26th, Mad Hatter Ball. 27th, Howl, H-O-W-L, Oween at Turpentine Creek. October the 29th, Folk Festival starts. October the 31st, Barefoot Ball. November the 2nd through the 4th, Fall Diversity. November the 2nd, Zombie Crawl. November the 3rd, Village Craft Show. November the 7th through the 11th, Food and Wine Weekend. November the 10th is the second Saturday Gallery Stroll. With that...
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, there's a benefit, sorry, I forgot this. There's a benefit for the Wednesday night, I believe, at Caribe for the Writers' Colony.
Okay. Alderperson Lindblad stated there will be a benefit at the Caribe for the Writers' Colony. So
And
everybody attending.
Kim O'Donnell will be there demonstrating cooking.
Okay, thank you. And basically just real quick, the information I gave everyone a while ago on the cemetery fun facts, read through those. This is the history of the City of Eureka Springs Commission, started in 1996 up until now. Basically what it says, any money that's put into that trust fund shall become principal and it shall become inviolate. That means only the interest derived from that can be used. And then you can read further on into it up until the current City Ordinance 1031, which established what is in the city code now. So it says no money can be pulled out of there for anything unless it's changed in the city ordinance, which was the way it was established. It has nothing to do with Mr. Perkins' trust fund. So read it. If you got any questions, let me know. And it all can be verified through the circuit clerk's office. Motion to dismiss, or just...
So moved.
Yeah, go home? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's get out of here.
1452.